Hi, and welcome back to the 12 Days of Christmas. Today is day 9, and the layout I'm bringing you today is another Pinterest inspired layout, but instead of being inspired by a scrapbook layout or a sketch, it's actually being inspired by a Christmas quilt pattern. Sarah Scraps, if you haven't gone to her channel, she does layouts where she uses quilts as her inspiration, and so I decided to do that today for this layout. So what I'm going to do is cut 3 by 3 squares, and I'm using 4 different pattern papers. And there's 2 shades of red, and then there's 1 shade of green, and then there's like a string of lights. So for the reds, I cut 4 3 by 3 squares, and now I'm going and I'm cutting those 4 squares in half and making a triangle. And then I'll do the same thing with the green. And with the green, after I cut them in half and make 2 triangles, I'm going to cut the triangles in half as well and make the smaller triangles. And now at the beginning of the video I did have a picture of the pattern that I was using, and again I just went on Pinterest and searched Christmas quilts or Christmas quilt patterns, and this is where I found this layout. So in addition to the green needing smaller triangles, it also needs 2 3 by 3 squares cut down for the pattern that has the string of lights on it, and these will be used on the outside edges. So now that I have all of my pieces cut out, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing them down. And what I do is I do the 4 corners first, and then I'm going to build the rest of the pattern around it. Now this piece here I do end up putting upside down, so string is running vertical versus horizontal, and I'm going to see that after I'm all done and all the pictures are taken, so I do correct that off screen. So just kind of watch it if you do have a pattern that makes a difference. I mean, some of the squares, they're going to run up and down anyways, but it was kind of obvious when the 4 squares were all running horizontal and then mine switched up. So now this pattern is kind of making like a star pattern, and so I just am following the picture on Pinterest and going around with the paper and filling it all in. Now I do leave the whole process in, so it's a little bit longer, but if you're wanting to scrap lift this, I just wanted you to be able to see how the pattern goes along. And on these squares here, I'm going to end up messing up and realizing it and then taking it apart again. And this is another great layout for using your scrap papers or your 6x6 paper pads, because you're just cutting it down into squares and then into triangles. And there's nothing really tricky about it, just following the pattern as you go. So I just have a couple more and I'm going to have the big pattern done, and then I'll go back and fill out the little ones. So now I'm going to go in with the green, and they're going to fill in the peak of the star basically. And I'll do that on each of the sides. And then the remaining triangles are going to be that ornament paper again, or the lights. So you really can find inspiration for a scrapbook layout anywhere. Magazines, Pinterest, and it doesn't have to be in a layout. Look into other items. You're just using design principles, and instead of using cloth, you're using paper. So it's just kind of a neat way to try and jazz things up again. So this is the, basically my layout is done. So then I'm going to go off screen and I'm going to try and select my picture and some embellishments and things. So I grabbed this picture of my kids in front of the Christmas tree back in 1999, and a scrap of gold paper that I had in my stash, and then one of my doilies. These are, I believe, 10-inch doilies. I got them from Spiegel Mom Scraps. And then I just found in my stash this piece of vellum text, and I'm just going to kind of paper piece it on the back. And after I get it all glued down, I realize that it needs something else. So I'm going to pull it all back up, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a piece of green underneath it. And it was too big for the 6x6 pad with having the green go under the vellum. So I'm just taking the vellum off, putting it on the green, and then I'm going to put the vellum back on. So you have your shiny edge, your dark bringing in the green, and then you're going to have your soft with the vellum. And the vellum's got gold text on it, so it kind of brings a little of that gold back out again. And then the doily kind of softens the whole thing up. So I like how that looks. So now I'm going to go in my stash and grab that black on gray checked paper again, or tissue. And I'm going to go ahead and map my photo with this. I kind of fold it and try and find it, and then it's going to rip kind of wonky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pieces that I ripped off, and I'm actually going to just kind of paper piece it behind so it looks like there's multiple layers behind there, when in reality there's really only one, and then it just kind of gives it layers with the extra pieces that I tuck behind. So here's where I'm going in, putting those extra layers. And I'm just looking here and there to see where it needs another piece. And I'm not trying to be neat. And again, with Christmas, I think of Christmas when the kids are tearing into their papers and the wrapping paper and the tissue. So I like that torn look because it kind of reminds me of that whole Christmas atmosphere. So I like how that's all looking. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my doily down, and I'm just going to center it in the middle of the star. And then I'm going to start going through all of my 12 by 12 embellishments. This is a cut apart sheet from an Echo Park paper, and I'm just going to grab the tag that says have a sweet Christmas. And then I'm going to get out, I have a whole stack of this 12 by 12 sticker sheets, and I'm just going to start going through them and seeing what I can put on the layout. So I grabbed this ornament, but it's not going to stay. I end up switching that out for a stack of presents I'm going to find in a minute. And I also find these, thought they kind of looked rustic, these circles, and it kind of goes with that whole quilted kind of look. And then I grabbed this stocking, and I have the lantern with the Santa or the snowman inside of it. And so now what I'm going to do is take it apart, and I'm going to layer the package on top and the candy or the ribbon under in the middle of it, and then I'll do the same thing with the lantern on the other side. And now I'm going to pop all of it up on foam and give it a little bit of dimension. And when I'm through with that, I'm going to go through and continue going through my embellishments, and I find my Simple Stories stickers, and I'm going to go through and see what I can find in there. And I wasn't sure where I wanted to put that Christmas. I thought it was too low and almost on my daughter's head, so I kind of moved it up a little bit. And with ATG, it really is forgiving, and you can just rub it off if you put it somewhere you don't like. So these are both popped up, and now I'm going to start going through the sticker sheet and finding out what I can find. And I find this 25, and I'm going to just tuck this under, and then I will find a wreath, and I cut that in half and put part in each of the corners. And I decide that I need a third cluster, so I find another little banner that has a 25 on it. I'm going to put that down in the bottom left, along with a little banner with a Christmas tree. And then I go in and I find this photoplay, the bow. And I decide to go with the red snowflake because it kind of matches one of the pattern papers. And then I do find these puffy stickers from Photoplay, and I'm going to put stars in each of the corner. and then a plaid Christmas tree in the bottom left. I hope you've been enjoying following along with everyone that's been doing the YouTube hop. If you look in the links below, you will find the next person on the hop. There's been a lot of neat inspiration going around, and I hope that you're having fun following along with everybody and making your own layouts. I'm sprinkling some gold Heidi Shine onto my layout, and that's going to be the end of it. I want to thank everybody who's been so encouraging and left such kind comments on all my layouts and have been following along. There's going to be some close-ups at the end, and again, make sure that you follow along with the links, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. I would love to have you as a subscriber.